Good afternoon, everyone. It has been a few weeks since I did an actual stream. I've actually been working on a couple of videos, and well, obviously, I've been working on them, but I haven't published them. It's been a little bit of a wrinkle, if I'm being completely honest. We've had a couple of issues between real life stuff. We've had a couple of issues with the games I've been playing. So I figured, you know what, we're going to do a gaming stream. We are going to talk about some of the gaming stuff that has been happening over the past couple of weeks. Now, I'm going to say right now, it's like mid 60s right now outside. It is absolutely friggin' gorgeous. Like 100%. It is just absolutely gorgeous outside. It's like 60 degrees, which means the windows are open. That also means that when planes decide that they're going to take off or land from the airport that's 3 or 4 miles down the road, you might hear them, unfortunately. I'm sorry. But be that as it may, I'll give a little bit of an update on what I've been doing. I've been, in the gaming world at least, I've been not really playing Path of Exile as much. The new league just is not that fun. The mechanics, you know, there are just huge issues with the mechanics still, even to this day, despite saying, hey, we took care of it. You've got issues with betrayal. You've got issues with the nodes facing each other and being inaccessible. You've got huge issues with Path of Exile. And considering of the 11 or 12 rips I've had, probably 8 or 9 have been because of lag caused by the betrayal encounter spawning. This isn't my computer freezing up. You know, my computer is actually a pretty decent one. I got a 1700 CPU rather. I got a 590 Fatboy, both AMD obviously. 16 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, I've got a really decent computer in terms of being able to play this stuff. That being said, you know, they came out, I think it was last week, with a statement saying, oh, we know that the game is freezing up when betrayal encounters happen, and it's really only happening on lower end computers. I don't think that's the case. I think what it really is it may be a Windows 10 issue. And the reason we point to that is apparently there's something you can disable while playing Path of Exile that completely gets rid of the lag when the betrayal encounters happen. And it's specific to Windows 10. I can't remember what it was, but it has improved a little bit. So, you know, you can't be too upset anymore. That being said, I've wasted God knows how many currency, and your interest in a game will plummet. The overall interest in the game has plummeted this league to the point that we're probably going to have, we're expecting the announcement soon, but officially there will be a 1-month Mayhem or Flashback League coming out this, you know, next month, and that'll take us to the end of the Synthesis League. Also, Synthesis will probably be put into the core game, which nobody really is happy about that. A lot of the big Path of Exile streamers, they're no longer playing the game. They're playing other games right now just because it's not fun. And Mathel actually did a really good write-up as to why he thinks that is. With that being said, moving from Path of Exile, I've been playing a lot more The Division 2. They've done a really good job of taking care of some of the issues. There is more content, and with the exception of right now, there seems to be an issue with loading times. I mean, I've got The Division on a solid state drive. I'm still getting 3-minute load times. Now, apparently that is something to do with the server. Massive or Ubisoft has come out and said, yeah, that appears to be an issue on our end. It doesn't look like it's actually anything to do with the client or hardware. It looks like it's on our end, and they are working on it. That being said, the first major patch did come out. It's actually pretty decent. There have been hiccups. There are issues that people have right now, such as skill power really not doing anything other than forcing you to stack it if you want to use mods on your skills, which means that you'd be forced into gimping your DPS or tank in order to do so. And the PvP builds right now, well, most of them are probably going to get nerfed relatively hard within the next patch from what we've been able to see from the patch notes coming up. So while it sucks that that's going to happen, it's kind of it kind of became a necessity just to kind of balance things out. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you're balancing things out, but it's really not that fun. I understand balance, but things should be fun. So Berserk builds are probably going to get nerfed with just how they're redoing everything. But other than that, it's been pretty good. Grim Dawn has been good. There was an expansion. I've played it a bit. It's actually a pretty enjoyable experience. It's definitely worth spending the money on. EVE Online, haven't touched it in months, and I don't plan on doing so. I was actually thinking of getting rid of my characters and just selling off all my assets. I don't see myself going back to it. It's just not as fun. I'm in Test Alliance, and even I'm going, I really don't care. I've actually left all the Discord servers that I was part of for EVE Online, so I don't see myself going back there. Arc, haven't touched that in months. There's now some issues popping up in Arc, and I'm just like, whatever. So, that 5-minute spiel about what I've been doing in game, or rather online at least, working on some videos, working on editing those videos. Just we'll see where things go. I might actually boot up Path of Exile later because I am starting a new staff character. I know Melee has been nerfed to hell and back, 100%. Hell and back. Melee is just not, like you could play a 10 Exalt Melee build, or you could play a 3 Exalt Spellcaster build and get further. What would you rather play? Not that hard a choice, right? Especially if you've lost all your freaking currency because of the goddamn betrayals. I said that, so I'm gonna have to punish myself. So that's it for the gaming. And I have to say, the 3 videos I was working on, one was going to go on to the IRL channel, the commentary channel, I guess you could call it. I've put that on the back burner because the person just giving me more stuff to work with, and I really want to. If I'm going to do it justice, I have to do it properly. Going on from that, the gaming, again, has not been a good couple of months for some game companies out there. EA has really been hit, and we're going to get into that as the second story going into this. However, the first story we're going to be covering, once again, Valve finds themselves in a little bit of hot water. And they find themselves in a little bit of hot water because of stuff they did, or rather didn't do, back in 2017 and continued it into 2018. Now, if you play Dota 2, you know that the Invitational, or rather the International, is about to start up. This is the biggest tournament for Dota. 100%. It's the biggest tournament. And millions of dollars in prizes are actually up for grabs. Let's make that very clear. Up for grabs is millions of dollars in prizes. Now, over the past couple of weeks, there have been some issues with some teams kicking out players that qualified because of personality issues. But overall, Valve's general antipathy towards actually spending money to take care of things, and their general reluctance to get involved in anything has really started to upset many of these players. And because of that, we're getting to the point that we are right now, in which a lot of players are voicing their disfavor, their displeasure at the decisions that they are engaging in. So apologies, that got turned on. So what ends up happening is 2017, the Battle Pass comes out, or the compendium or whatever you want to call it. And one of the things that they offered, if you hit level 2000 with the battle pass, you would get a statue of Roshan. It was the baby Roshan statue. And I'll show you exactly what Valve said it would look like. This comes from the Valve website. This is what it was supposed to look like. Actually looks pretty good. It was supposed to be like nickel plated or something like that. It actually looks pretty good. And so people waited for this. You had to hit level 2000 on the battle pass. Not exactly something that's easy to do. Not even if you're doing your dailies and weeklies, not something that's easy to do. And for a year, nobody knew what was going on because Valve was mum on the entire issue. The company that was contracted by Valve to do this was mum on the issue. Nobody was updating anyone, and people spent hundreds of dollars to get one of these. Because, again, you could buy levels. It was $10 to buy 25 levels. It's understandable if you can get 25 levels for $10, you might do that. And speaking from experience, I think last year, I spent about $60 total between the pass, which was $40, and then I bought like 50 levels. So that brought me up to like $125. And then I powered through to get the Lion Arm MTX, and that was about it. But for a year, nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew because Valve and CMD Collectibles, again, the company contracted to do this, was radio silent. They didn't talk about it at all. And so what ends up happening? Well, they finally do ship the statue, and this is what it looked like. Does that look anything like what was in that previous picture? Doesn't look like it to me. Does not look like it. And because of the shoddy craftsmanship, that actually kind of looks like a pewter. Like a pewter model that you might have got for like Warhammer 40K. Looks absolutely nothing like it. Once again, this is what they got. This is what was offered. This is the prototype, I guess you could call it, for the entire thing. So that happens, and Valve ends up putting out a statement. I think it's this one. I'm using these screenshots I have from the video I was doing on this subject. I'm sorry, that's the 2018 announcement. Damn. They end up putting out a statement basically saying because of how shoddy the craftsmanship was, they were going to delay any further shipments. However, if you already got one, you can keep that one as well. And I guess you know what? I will pull this up because in 2018, the Battle Pass was announced again. And as you can see, as I've highlighted, Baby Roshan, the Roshan statue was again, if you hit level 2000, you would get the Baby Roshan statue once again. However, they also say while the Baby Roshan deliveries were initially also scheduled to begin before the international main event, due to issues with the first production run, we're currently working with a manufacturer on a new production, and the Roshan shipments will begin shipping once we are able to ensure that the quality of this reward meets expectations. Well, that was in 2018. And just so we're all clear, this comes from their blog site. Level 2000 Collector's Edition Baby Roshan statue, July 25th, 2017. 2017, level 2000 Baby Roshan. This is the one in which they announced that all further shipments were on hold because of the shoddy craftsmanship. And then that was a year later, May 17th, and then July 19th, 2 months later, they announced the 2018 Collector's Edition, or the Baby Roshan again. So they haven't even met the previous year's commitment to shipping out the baby Roshan statues. But they're going to do it again for 2018. Understandably, people were upset. It's now 2019, by the way, and those have not shipped. 2017 or 2018. And I wish I was joking when I said that people had had spent hundreds of dollars on it. Just from Reddit, this guy spent, I think that's 500 euros. That's either euros or pounds. I can't remember. I think that's euros. 500 euros just to get the statue, because it's easier to spend the money. You know, it's kind of why this is, people say pay to win and whatnot. This is why people say pay to win when they talk about such things. 500 euros. Let's look at another one in which a person says they spent $840 for. Now, people shouldn't be paying this much money to get a statue, especially from Valve. But this person did this in 2017. It's 2019 now, and there's still nothing. And let's make this very clear. This is what ends up being the response. Because 2 months ago, CMD Collectibles, the company that they contracted through, did put out an FAQ update. In May, meaning May 2018, the DotA team announced that the 2017 Collector's Baby Roshan statue is being redesigned from scratch to address production quality issues found in the first shipments that fans received. We're happy to announce that we now have a redesigned Collector's Baby Roshan statue undergoing final touches before entering large-scale production. Once the final version is approved, we will be sending out another email update to provide a first look at the statue itself, along with further information on shipping and delivery estimates. We expect this update in early March, depending on quality review results from our first run at scale. If you haven't already, blah, blah, blah. And then they say that they'll be updating the support portal when things get to that point. Now, we are coming up to the 2-year mark since the initial 2017 announcement of the statue. 2 years. Nothing. They haven't shipped them. The first batch was of such crappy quality that they stopped it and told the company to redo it. This is the only update in a year. The only update. When I contacted Valve for an update, their response was to tell me, please keep an eye on our blog as we'll update when we have something, quote, concrete, unquote. That was their wording. When I contacted CMD, their response was to contact Valve because they're the primary they're the primary point of contact for the statues. So it's kind of a runaround. You're not going to get anything. And in fact, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, this is a response that Valve sent to a guy. Message was sent April 18th at 10:19. Now, keep that in mind, 10:19 p.m. He apparently sent it directly to Gabe Newell, the head honcho of Valve. Message from Steam support on April 18th at 10:22 p.m. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. And the response reads, "Hi, person's name. I was forwarded this email you sent to Gabe and wanted to take a moment to reply to your feedback. First off, you know that's bullcrap. It was probably routed directly to this person, or rather, to this automated system. Let's be completely honest here. There are probably keywords that trigger exactly where it goes, and Roshan statue probably triggers that immediately. It gets rerouted to the automatic response because I'm a fast typist. I really am. I'm a really decent typist. It would take more than 3 minutes for me to read the email or the complaint and then type out what you see on here in the response, proofread it, and then send it. But you're going to say that it was forwarded to you and then you took care of that? Because Gabe Newell is totally in the office at almost 10:30 at night on April 18th. And let's see, what's the, that was a Thursday. Okay, so it's a weekday. Yeah, he's totally in the office at 10:19 in the evening. Yeah, that's completely believable, ladies and gentlemen. That's completely believable. And totally, this is because he signs it Brian. You know it's a real person and not a bot that just randomly puts a name after that. Oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. Thanks for taking the time to write in. We are continuing to work with our partner, CMD Collectibles, to get these statues out just as soon as possible. Once an update is available, registered eligible users will be emailed. We hope to have an update very soon. You've been saying that for years, actually. You've been saying that for over a year, I should say. Again, thank you for your support and continued patience. We hope the additional wait will be worth the time we've spent redesigning the Baby Roshan reward. Please let me know if I can help with anything else you may need. Regards, Brian. Yeah, that was totally done in what, a minute time? Yeah, that you could totally believe that is a real person named Brian responding to you and not some computer. 100%. 100%. Again, it's Valve not putting money into anything, relying on automation to take care of things. This is a person who probably spent a good chunk of money in order to get the statue. Because I think, like, to a man, everybody has. Everybody has spent money on that statue, or on the battle pass in order to get that statue. And Valve doesn't care. Valve made off with the money. Valve doesn't care. Why would they? Three minutes from initial sending of the message to receiving this reply. Seems legit. Seems 100% legitimate. Now, to be fair, it's not like that they are the only company that has had a problem with this. You know, offering a real life item and then it not coming to fruition. CCP Games, not too long ago, they offered a statue as well. It was going to be of the Nick Super Carrier, and it took about 3 years for them to come out and say that it wasn't going to happen. This is the title from their blog posting saying that, well, I'll bring up the blog posting itself. Due to repeated delays and uncertainty that the Nyx model would ever reach the hands of our pilots, we unfortunately have ended our relationship with Triforce and canceled the project. Triforce has pledged to reimburse those who have already pre-ordered the model. We recommend you contact them for more information about reimbursement. You can do so on their website here. Those pilots who pre-ordered the model and received the umbral skin for the Nyx can continue to enjoy it as a thank you from CCP for their amazing support for the project. So basically, people paid for a skin. They didn't even really pay. I mean, they got reimbursed. Now, CCP likely did like twist Triforce's arm and say, you're going to reimburse these people because we're, you know, if we have to do it, if we have to do it, guess what? There's going to be hell to pay. We will sue you. There's a good chance that happened. It doesn't really matter one way or the other. As far as I'm concerned, the entire thing was a shit show. It really was. But you know, this is not specific to Valve. A lot of these companies have had problems with this, where the group that the company they contract out to failed to meet the expectations of not just the company doing the contracting, but the customers as well. So this is what happened. And it's not like Valve can't do the right thing and offer something in response. It's not like they can't. I ended up doing the math, and just to give you an idea, this is the amount in the prize pool for each international tournament. All right? That's a lot of money. That's just in the prize pool. And the prize pool is 25% of total sales of battle passes or compendiums. Excuse me, I decided to mute my mic when I coughed. So this is 25%. Now, I actually did the math. I'll pull up my script on the matter. There's a pupper outside. He sounds like an angry pupper. But anyways, I did the math for it, and the numbers that you see on the screen on the right side, or the right side, turn out to $103,318,523. That's how much went into the prize pool. Which means that Valve pocketed $309,955,569. They made almost $310 million off Battle Pass sales. $310 million. But they refused to do the right thing. They refused to... I don't even know how they could actually do anything to really fix this issue. The truth of the matter is that they completely screwed everything up. And unfortunately, they really don't care. They've been mum on the entire thing. It's going on 2 years. And I guarantee you, International 9, it's going to have the Roshan statue again because they're totally close to putting it together and sending out the finished product. 100%. They are almost there. It's a Valve soon TM. This is the absolute state of Valve. They've automated everything to the point that customer service is completely gone. Everything's gone. This is not the Valve that made Portal and Half-Life. They went from making quality games to now, you know, their moneymaker is Steam, which holds essentially a massive monopoly over the digital games, marketing and whatnot. They have such a monopoly over it that even Epic Games, which don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm a big fan of it, but even Epic Games is having trouble getting into it. Origin, it's specific to EA and EA titles. They can't go outside of that because Valve pretty much has a stranglehold on it. Uplay for Ubisoft, same thing. Even though many Ubisoft games are also found on Steam. What's going on here? $310 million made off of selling compendiums, and that's over a 6-year period. On average, they made about $50 million a year. But they can't hire people to look over reports or anything in DotA. They can't hire people to monitor forums because the forum moderators on the dev.dota forums, they're volunteers. They can't hire people to actually go through the Greenlight and indie game stores and get rid of asset flips and the like. But they put out stuff like this, and the only thing that can happen now is, we're to the point where people should not be trusting Valve when they say, hey, we got this unique collector's edition item, as long as you give us a couple $100. And the truth of the matter is what can you do in order to recoup the money you spent? Because many people spent hundreds of dollars for the statue specifically. What can you do? Well, at this point, not much. At this point, there is not much you can do about it. You've probably passed the point where you can file chargebacks. The only thing you can do is file a lawsuit. But how do you file a lawsuit in small claims court on something that intrinsically has no actual value? They didn't sell the item directly. You could make the argument that, you know what, assuming a level 75 battle pass is, which was 35 or 40 bucks. We'll go with 40 bucks with the tax. So that's level 75. Which means, and let's just break out the calculator here, okay? Let's break out the calculator. So you get 25 levels for $10, right? So let's go with 1900. Actually, 1925 divided by 4. Yeah, 4. 481. You spend over $500 in order to get that statue. Who wants to do that? I might have actually done the math wrong. I don't know. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't think I did. I think it's good. Whatever. The point of the matter is that it has no value. You really can't sue for it. And Valve doesn't care. If they did, they would have offered something in return instead of remaining silent the entire time. They don't offer any updates. They don't offer a freaking thing to the people actually wondering about this. They don't offer compensation. They don't do anything. And they're going to expect people to buy another battle pass. And let's be honest here. The battle pass, the international tournament in August is taking place in Shanghai. This prize pool will be the largest in history. I know that you can see right now how there is just a constant, rise in the amount of money in the prize pool. So obviously it's going to keep going up most likely, even with a declining player base. However, excuse me. However, Chinese players are very likely to buy a lot of stuff in order to show just how much it, China #1. Right? I wouldn't be surprised if the Chinese government actually throws money into the prize pool as well, because they've done this before. And this is on the heels of the Chinese government. I can't say the Communist Party, but the Chinese government has banned players from playing in the specifically the Chongqing Major because they hurt Chinese feelings. Little smack talk leads to some hurt feelings. Oh, it's racism. Valve refused to get involved there as well. Because that's what they do. They refuse to get involved. Nobody should be surprised about this. So their unwillingness to get involved and establish actual guidelines and rules for their tournaments. You've got the issues with the statue. You've got a very good chance that the entire thing is going to be a complete disaster. It really points to Valve just doesn't know what they're doing. Valve doesn't really care. And that should be disappointing to everybody involved. It really, really should be disappointing to everybody involved. Of course, Valve doing this, well, they become a money-hungry company. Fine, whatever. You really can't be surprised here, Spectre. You really can't be. Fine, let's take a look at another money-hungry company. Let's look at EA, because BioWare is back in the news. BioWare... They can't stop screwing up with Anthem. They just can't. My stream on the 4th, April 4th, was specifically about Anthem and Jason Schreier and Kotaku's article about the entire thing. And you know what? We're just going to go over here. This is on Reddit. This is an update from BioWare on Anthem. It comes from Ben, the lead producer, and Chad, which, if there was a name that's more likely to draw criticism and anger, I don't know what it is. So here is an update from Ben, the lead producer, and Chad, head of live services, because, you know, games are now a service, apparently, according to BioWare and EA, on the Act 1 90-day calendar. Now, it should be said that last week they were supposed to have a state of the game, essentially, and it fell through. Somebody may have forgotten to pay a bill. Who knows? At this point, who knows? Hey, everyone. It's been 10 weeks since the early access release of Anthem. Let me say that again. It's been 10 weeks since the early access release of Anthem. While we have been quiet publicly, we have been hard at work in the background and wanted to provide an update on the state of the game. Now, 10 weeks ago, yes, the game did come out for the week-long the week-long early access, essentially, for premium players, for Origin premium subscribers. And generally speaking, when you do something like that, when you offer some type of early access, for, you know, it's an incentive for pre-purchasing or something like that. And the reason that they do it is so that they can, generally speaking, stress test. They can do a stress test on the, you know what, let's oof. Why did that? There we go. They generally do a stress test, and that's what they're looking to do. That's what they're looking to do. They're looking to make sure that the game itself, that the hardware, the servers, and everything can manage and maintain coherence, cohesion and whatnot, that you won't have massive drops of players, that you won't have stuff just completely die. Obviously, as we've seen with Anthem, no, that's not happening. The DCs and everything, they're happening all the time. But they specifically say the early access release. Not 9 weeks ago, the game officially launched and we promised it was a finished product. No, they are specifically harping on early access. I'm going to get into that in a second. The second part, they've been quiet publicly, of course. BioWare is renowned for not taking criticism and negative feedback well. When they make a mistake, they go radio silent. They did this with Mass Effect Andromeda, with Dragon Age Inquisition, I think it was. One of them. One of the Dragon Ages, they did this. Star Wars: The Old Republic, don't even think of getting any kind of information. Anthem was supposed to be their golden egg. It was supposed to be their way of getting back into the public spotlight as a reputable AAA company. And it failed. It failed spectacularly. I mean, Flashgits did a great animated short on it. But they went radio silent, despite saying that they were going to be the most transparent company in the world. You know, so transparent you can't see them. Well, you can't see them, and that's because they're hiding under rocks from the criticism and the negative backlash from not just the gamers themselves, not just the companies, the people who paid $60 to $80 for the game, but also from games journalists, from critics and reviewers. They're hiding. The past 10 weeks, we have learned a lot since the game went live. We have heard a lot of feedback from all of you, and we have been working diligently to improve as many things as we can in the short term. We fixed a lot of bugs and made changes, which we believe begin to point us in the right direction for the future. That being said, we know there is a long way to go before Anthem becomes the game we all want it to be. So where are we at today? You got a finished product, and you're saying it's nowhere near what we want it to be. Again, early access. They want you to believe that this is an early access title at this point. And let's be honest here. Look at it, play it a bit. It is an early access title. It's not a properly released project. It's not ready for release, but they charged $60, $80 if you got the collector's edition for it. AAA title prices for a game that is, for all intents and purposes, early access. Players were lied to. The customers were lied to about the entire thing. So what do you do? What do you do? Well, guys, it came out in early access 10 weeks ago. And let's be completely honest here. Let's be completely fair. A lot of people who are still defending this game, many of them sock puppets of developers or Ubisoft or EA employees. We've been able to establish this for several of them. Excuse me. But they're coming out and saying, oh, it was poorly worded. No, it was not poorly worded. This is the kind of thing that goes through a PR and customer service before it ever touches before it ever graces the ether. It was intentional to say that it was released 10 weeks ago in early access. And they're setting you up for exactly what's coming next. Game date 1.1.0. It went live today and includes some new content and improvements to the game, a new stronghold called the Sunken Cell, access to the Forge anywhere in the world, ability to launch a new expedition from the end of the expedition menu without loading into Fort Tarsis, access to contracts without having to run around and pick them up. There were a bunch of additional fixes and improvements. The patch notes can be found, and there's the link. There was also a live stream later today where we will show you the Sunken Cell stronghold and some of the other improvements in Game Update 1.1. How's it going, Captain Weeb? I'm just going over the announcement that the developers for Anthem came out basically saying that the game is in early access. So right away they're telling you, yeah, we put out a little bit of content because that's what's really been, aside from all the bugs and all the issues and the fact that it's a looter without the loot, they are telling. I am live. It's been a little bit since I've gone live, so I figured, you know what? I've been working on videos. I haven't put them out because I've been a little whatever. Real life is a thing. Anyways, aside from the bugs and everything, it's an absolute garbage instance to be in. It's terrible. It's miserable. Just miserable. But there are just so many issues that they are no longer going to be focusing on content, and they actually put this out. Act 1 calendar. While we have delivered many of the Act 1 features on time, we are not going to hit all the goals on our Act 1 calendar. We have been prioritizing things like bug fixes, stability, and game flow over the new features of Act 1. Things that happen in a beta, an alpha and a beta. Bug fixes, stability, game flow. Those are things that are taken care of in a beta, early access. These are things that should have been taken care of before the game was even really, it should have been at least 3 months of taking care of this stuff. And then you polish everything up, the last 2 months, and there you go. They didn't. They were working on this for 18 months. It was in pre-development for something like 6 years. 18 months of development. This is what we got. This is what we got. And now they're going back and saying, oh, early access. This would be actually the first game I can think of in which it's promised as a fully released product. There's no, there was a slight, it's just going to be game news. This is the gaming channel. So where I do gaming and entertainment news over here. I do my gaming streams over here. The commentary channel, the other one, that's where I'll take care of other things. Talking about, commenting on stuff and whatnot. This is specifically, this is what I started out as And I've really let this go over the last 6, 7, 8 months because I've just been so focused on the drama that admittedly I've been a part of. But I've been so focused on that I just let this go, you know, and it's kind of, I'll be completely honest here. I'll do a little segue before I continue. I've been completely demotivated to continue streaming and doing videos. And part of it is because I've been in a rut. I've been a bit depressed. You know, real life has sucked. I haven't allowed that to be an excuse, though. And that's a big thing. I haven't allowed that to really control me. But at the same time, there's only so much you can do before that hump actually just stops you. And it really demotivated me to be a streamer and whatnot. And it's been like that for the past year and a half. But I have to accept that that's me. I'm supposed to be a disciplined individual. I am. On almost everything else, I'm disciplined. But when this was supposed to be a hobby, and I let it fall to the wayside because of real life, I didn't make time for it. So I've allowed myself to just forget about it. And now I'm getting back into it. I'm doing some videos. I'm doing some streams. I'm gonna work on it. But anyways, so they announced the Act 1 calendar and they say, you know, we've been prioritizing things that should have been taken care of in beta. Yeah, that's what we're focusing on now in this released game, this ready for, you know, I don't even know what's going on anymore. I'm going to be completely honest. AAA companies are putting out absolutely garbage titles. They're putting out their absolutely garbage games, and they are passing it on to everybody else to tell them, hey, this is going to be ready for release. This is going to be, you know, $60. It's going to be worth it. And then you get something like this, or you get something like Ark. Path of Exile's current, you know, the League mechanic. Just, it does not feel like anything. And I get Path of Exile specifically is a free-to-play game, but still, there was a quality that was expected, and it, like the last two, really the last two leagues have just, they felt underwhelming. Like they underproduced for them, but that's neither here nor there. So features delayed: the mastery system, guilds, legendary missions, weekly stronghold challenge, leaderboards, some free play events, and cataclysm. We want to make sure everything we add to the game has a purpose and fits with our long-term goals. When we have information to share on the items above, we will do so. Now, when it comes to Ark, the very foundation of Ark is completely screwed. The meshing issue, exploiting, hacking, the way it was set up as a PvP environment when very clearly it's not a PvP game. It's player versus offline. It's the exact same thing that's going on. And in fact, they continue on, and I'll get into that in a second. Cataclysm. The Cataclysm is an important addition to the game, and it's currently a big focus for the team. The Cataclysm will bring new challenges and rewards and pushes the story of Anthem forward. As our work continues, we will share more with you in May. Loot. We have heard your concerns about endgame loot. We agree that our loot and progression systems need to be improved, and we are working towards this. When we have more information to share, we will. Again, they have nothing to share, so why are they talking? Just say you have no roadmap at this point. That's all you have to say. We have no roadmap at this point. And just so we can I just want to, let me see if I can see if I can find this, because they put out like some, there we go. So just to give you an idea, I'm going to bring this over. Senior gameplay designer. I believe, does this one not say Anthem? Okay, so this one does not say Anthem. Okay, this one does, though. I know that because it says loot in here. Let's find Anthem. There we go. So BioWare is looking for a creative and passionate senior systems designer with experience in loot systems to join our studio in either Austin or Edmonton to work on our newest IP, Anthem. Building a truly great server-side loot system that is scalable, has modern concepts like a streak-breaking and easily modifiable data formats. You know, this is stuff that they should have had taken care of in development, and now they're bringing in a senior systems designer. And by the way, the responsibilities, and then you look at the ideal candidate will just demonstrate. This is requirements. 5+ years of experience as a game designer working on AAA titles in a senior role. Yeah, they're already gainfully employed elsewhere. And after the absolute travesty that was Anthem's launch and the continued decline of Anthem, nobody's going to leave their current job in order to take over for this. Nobody. And why would they? Why would they? So just to give you an idea, this is the history, because I looked at all of them. So this is Anthem, this is Anthem, this is Anthem, this is Anthem. 4 positions. All for Anthem. Positions that should have been filled during development. But they misspoke. It's not early access. Yeah. Yeah, right. Loot, communication. Now, this is where it gets funny, because this is where it starts to sound like Arc or Studio Wildcard. And to a lesser extent, their little offshoot that totally isn't Studio Wildcard, but it's Studio Wildcard. Let's be completely honest here for Atlas. A lesson we have learned is we have been talking about things too early. There are so many factors that can cause us to pivot on our plans, whether it's bugs and stability issues, player feedback. Apparently feedback will cause them to just pivot on whatever they're doing. Apparently saying you're idiots, you need to fix this. that apparently causes them to whatever. Or complications with a feature that require us to take more time to deliver it. Our goal is to tell you about new content and features once the work is closer to being done. At the same time, we want to provide more ways to get your feedback and for you to tell us, excuse me, what you think is fun or not fun. To facilitate this, we plan to introduce a player feedback environment, an opportunity to get your feedback before we go live with major features. Sounds like a beta. Sounds like a PTR, a player test server. PTS, player test server. That's what that sounds like. Congratulations, you've now caught up with pretty much everybody else. This is AAA. This is a AAA company, ladies and gents. This is AAA. And I love when these companies use this whole, we are talking about things too early. No, it's not that you're talking about things too early. It's that you're talking about them at the right time, but you think you have more time than you do, and you procrastinate. You bite off more than you can chew. That's what gets you in the end. And none of these companies are learning from their mistakes, and they're not going to. They're not going to learn from their mistakes. Why would they? Why would they learn from their mistakes? They already sold you the game. Forget that last week or the week before the game was on sale for $20 on Newegg. Forget that. They still got your $60 to $80. This is why I spent $15, and it was a premium subscription to play the game. Not worth anything more. Played for a month and now I just don't care. And apparently nobody else does either. It was actually, let me see if I can find it. There was somebody did this, a translation. This is actually pretty funny. It's actually pretty amusing, I should say. There is going to be some salty language in here, so forgive me for it, but it's coming from other people. Here's an update from lead producer and head of live services on the Act 1 90-day calendar. Excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat. It's pollen. Yo, fuckos. It's been 10 weeks since we pranked y'all. while we've been silent because we are so transparent you can't even see us anymore. Wow, that was actually a line I just used. I actually only skimmed it. I didn't realize there was actually a line in here. We were actually trying to figure out what the fuck to do with this game, so we were just murmuring in the background. Maybe someone can decide what to do, since we are great with decision making. We've learned a lot since the alpha test went live. That's what this is. Like how to develop a game and stuff, dev things. We listened and heard your feedback. Yes, all the feedbacks. We heard them. The feedbacks, yes. We've been working to improve things, like the coffee machine in the studio because it just makes shit coffee. Anyway, so we fixed a lot of bugs and made a lot of new bugs. The alchemy works that way. So we believe we are going in the right direction, to north, to Vabby. That being said, we know there is a long way before Anthem comes out of its 60 year, again, I think that's euro. I don't know. 60 euro alpha testing. Alpha update 1.1 went live today, includes some nothingness and disappointment in it with a hint of depression, like a new broken stronghold. Access to forge anywhere in the small world. A new coffee machine. My paycheck from your purchases of this game. An ember. There are also a bunch of fixes and stuff that nobody will notice because the HP bug is still just a UI bug. There is also a live stream later today where we will ignore the whole chat because we know it will be a clusterfuck of spam of loot and such, but our management told us to shut up and ignore everything like life is happy and colorful. Act 1 calendar. While we have delivered many of the Act 1 features on time, like more embers and reused vinyls with different rotations that was made with hard work in Photoshop with Control-T and 180-degree rotation. So we set aside time for more fixing, but the reality is we have absolutely no idea how to do it. So we will delay a lot of content, but we will totally have planned and are totally working on to fix the fixes, I mean the bugs. More features, or features delayed, more embers, vinyls, the entire game that you paid 60 euros for, or if you just got lucky, 15 euros. Again, Newegg was selling it for 20 bucks. We want to make sure everything we add to the game has a purpose and fits with our goals. I thought we called them something else to be unique. Let's call them maybe ideas instead of goals. Yeah. When we have information to share on the ideas above, we will do so. As ever, you can trust us. The Cataclysm is an important addition to the game and is currently a big focus for the team. The Cataclysm will bring new red skyboxes and no rewards and pushes the story of Anthem nowhere. As our decision making continues, we will share more with you in May or June or sometime in the future, surely when we are done. Loot. We are listening. We have your feedback. Have an ember. Communication. A lesson we have learned is we have been talking about things too early. Like we should have mentioned this game about 5 years later when we actually could have fleshed it out. Maybe we don't know. There are so many factors that can cause us to pivot on our plans, whether it's player feedback or incompetence to develop a looter shooter game. Our goal is to talk about new content, but only talk about it or mentioning it. Locked Cortex. At the same time, we want to provide more ways to get your money, I mean feedback, yes, and for you to tell us what you think is fun or not fun. Nah, don't be kidding, there's nothing unfun in this game. To facilitate this, we plan to introduce a player feedback environment, an opportunity to get your feedback before we go live with major features, in the short term for PC only. We only plan it because we won't make it actually, because we know it will just clusterfuck as well. I mean, we can't even make a complete game. Closing. We know you have been waiting for these updates, and that you might not be pleased with where we are today. We understand and respect these perspectives, but we got your money and you can't get a refund anymore. Psych. The only thing we can say is this: we believe in Anthem. It's all we can do, really. Just believe in it and hope it works and doesn't crash. We believe the game will be great. Once we get out of alpha testing and move on to beta testing, possibly within a few years, then we pull the plug. Thanks for taking the time to read this update. Actually, that's a really good translation of it. The early access is really the issue here. That's the issue. And let me go back to it. Again, mentioning specifically early access and not release was an intentional decision. This had to go through a PR person. It could not have gone out like this without somebody who's got a little finesse. A speechwriter, if you will, looking over it and making changes. They set your bar low, lower than it already is apparently, by saying early access, and then they say we're working on bugs and we're pushing content back to fix these bugs. Again, this is all stuff that should have happened before the game left early access. And this was put out as a game that you could trust to be a finished product. It had 6 years of pre-production, 5 or 6 years of pre-production, 18 months of production, and then it came out like this because they have no roadmap. They had no roadmap. They put everything into crunch time. And then they sit there and tell you, oh, well, the problem really is, no, the problem really is you have no idea what you're doing. That's why you're now hiring people again. You're hiring people once again. And you're going to tell us that the problem is that your eyes are just so wide. You're trying to pull the small indie studio BS that we saw with Studio Wildcard, at the same time telling us that they were all experienced developers. You made mistakes. Own up to it. You really aren't doing that here. And why would you? Let me see, because there was a, let me see if I can find it. There was a, I think it was Screen Rant actually. I think it was this one. So Screen Rant ended up doing a story on it. A lot of them have. Obviously, a lot of companies, or a lot of the a lot of these tech giants and whatnot, they're talking about it, and obviously it's a source of contention. It's causing a lot of issues for people. Customers are seeing stuff like this, and it really negatively impacts the gaming industry as a whole. Some bizarre information emerged from BioWare early today, meaning yesterday, because this came out yesterday, as the development team revealed that the studio still considers Anthem to be an early access release, and that nearly all of its key content from its initial roadmap will now be delayed indefinitely. I don't know if it's indefinitely. I think they are going to work on it. Let me make this very clear. The game is definitely an early access abortion right now. It's definitely still in early access. That being said, I do think they're going to work on it. Because BioWare cannot take another hit. The Division, for example, was an absolute sty when it first came out. And then it became one of the better games out there. It would require BioWare to accept that they made mistakes, and there'd have to be a little bit of humility. They'd have to take the lumps that are coming their way. They need to be more transparent because they don't talk to anyone right now. They're afraid to talk to people. They're afraid to. And it's understandable why, because they've made so many mistakes over the past couple of months. The news comes hot on the heels of anticipation for the upcoming new Stronghold release, a move that would have inspired some excitement for a game that has too often been viewed as an exemplary instance of corporate greed and rushed development, sinking an otherwise promising new IP. The development wasn't rushed. All right, development wasn't rushed. This game was in pre-development and development for 6 years. It wasn't rushed. They just had no roadmap. They kept changing their mind. If you have no plan to begin with, whose fault is that? It's nobody's fault but your own, right? Anthem struggles are nothing new. In fact, they began in what fans initially believed to be the early access release period that saw Origin subscribers given a full week of play before other PC, PS4, and Xbox One users were given the chance to join in. Lately, a player-made Anthem survey indicated the dire conditions that surround the game now, suggesting that over half the game's initial player base had already quit the game permanently, while a further third were considering leaving if something didn't change relatively soon. After a flurry of initial Anthem patches saw developer BioWare attempt to stopgap some of the most egregious bugs and missing features, news about the game's ongoing repair process has been strangely quiet. In an update posted to Reddit, which I just read, staff updated fans on the status of the game as well as the silence that has been a troubling but consistent element of BioWare's approach as of late. I'm not the only one to notice it, apparently. The silence is... They have golden opportunities to fix how people view them and whatnot, and they just remain silent. The post then addressed Anthem Update 1.1, which introduced the new stronghold called the Sunken Cell, as well as a few other quality of life changes that have been requested for weeks now. Finally, the update dropped a bombshell on fans. A dramatic number of Act 1 features were being delayed with little reason other than there were being more pressing fixes given. Here's what's being delayed, and they go through everything that they said they were delaying. And that's just the early list. There's probably going to be a lot more. In short, nearly everything that has kept fans sticking around and hoping for something better in the near future will be delayed by BioWare as the studio continues to try and figure out how to sort out the cataclysmic mess that is Anthem. While Cataclysm was a huge focus on early content releases in the build-up to launch, its May release window is now being used to simply release information about the feature, which fans still don't know about. If I don't know anything about it, why am I going to care in a month? You promised me I'd know more about it now, and you're telling me in a month you'll have information and not the actual thing that you promised me? I probably won't care in a month. The post also closes out by addressing the many complaints over Anthem's loot that have literally persisted since the beginning of the game's launch, stating, "We have heard your concerns around endgame loot. We agree that our loot and progression systems need to be improved, and we are working towards this. When we have more information to share, we will." Again, they have nothing to share, but they're going to give you the whole line of, when we have more information, we'll share it. But then they tell us that they were giving out too much information too early. This is the dissonance. This is the lack of like self-reflection, I guess you could say. It really is. Basically, the most recent update on Anthem is that nothing is going right. Now seems to be an appropriate time for fans to panic, as months after the game's release, the only thing freelancers have to show for their continued support is one extra stronghold and the promise that things will get better, just not on schedule. It's an atonal message from a developer that already needed to do a lot to win back the faith many had placed in its ability to produce quality products, and it's hard to imagine anything except an extremely negative backlash waiting in the wings for BioWare after the latest Anthem update brings nearly all bad news. And it's true. Mass Effect Andromeda, the most recent, I've heard that, you know, Dragon Age Inquisition and Dragon Age Origins, they were both bad. I kind of like the second one. I'm not gonna lie. Never played the third. I think that's Inquisition. I never played the third, but I didn't mind the other ones. They were actually pretty good. I agree. Mass Effect Andromeda was an absolute shit show. I will agree with that. And Anthem is just a continuation of that. Star Wars: The Old Republic is a continuation of that. And that's the problem here. That's the problem. In any case, this was a time to shine and be like, here's what's going to happen. To bring back a lot of the hope that people had in the community. The truth of the matter, let me turn that off. The truth of the matter is that right now, Anthem is, I don't even know if it's on life support. I don't. People paid $60 to $80 for the game, and they haven't gotten the game they were promised. Nothing new there. It's not like this is new. So what's going on? Game companies are being greedy. Game companies are being lazy, and that's really what ends up happening here. That's what ends up happening here. The companies don't care. And then they hide from the player feedback. Even games journalists are noticing it. They are hiding from the negative, the negative feedback and the criticism. We want your feedback, but we're going to hide from it because it's all negative at this point. At this point, you know, they can't blame anybody but themselves. People came in expecting Anthem. I had expectations for Anthem. I thought it looked really good. And now there's really only one game that I care about. I think it's called Pantheon. I think it's Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. I'm actually looking forward to this. I'm not going to lie. I'll bring this up really quick. This has some promise, and I know I've said this before. I was looking forward to the Neverwinter MMO. I was looking forward to the Pathfinder MMO. I was really looking forward to that because it looked like it was going to have classic MMO like World of Warcraft with a real-time leveling system, kind of like EVE Online, where you would level skills in real time. I liked that idea. I really did. But here we are. You know, Pantheon actually kind of looks good. And the only thing that I have a problem with is in order to get into the alpha, you have to pay like $250. $250 to get into the alpha. You know, $50 for full game beta testing. You know, 50, and then you get like this stuff. You know, $250, you get 3 months game subscription. Okay, you get 3 month game subscription. That's probably gonna be like $45 right there. You know, this actually does look good, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to. By the way, you have to. It's $100 to get beta access. $100, $250 to get alpha. This is the problem with. This is a topic for another. This is going to be a topic for another stream or another video. But the crowdfunding for early access like this, where you're offering $1,000, you get all their stuff. $3,000, $10,000, you get all this stuff. I would not. I'm not gonna lie. Design a dungeon or raid with a design team. I wouldn't mind that. I would love to bring back some of the older dungeons from World of Warcraft. Bring back something like that. I'd be okay with that. But I sure as shit ain't gonna pay $10,000. Sorry about that. The plane going by. I wouldn't pay $10,000 for it. It's like you get 2 digital copies. I mean, I'll be honest here. I kind of like it. It's like you pay $100, you get 2 digital copies. Cool. Let's see. If you come down to champion, let's look at this. Like, you get unlimited champion access. I don't know. Champion rewards. Alpha access, beta access, early name reservation. Do you get that with this? Yeah, you do. Early name reservation. 2 digital copies of the game. So, you know, whatever. 3 months game subscription and 5 item renaming vouchers. That tells me that this is going to be you know, that wasn't there originally, and now I'm starting to think it's going to be some kind of a heavy MTX game. I'll have to look into it, but I'm looking for. I was kind of looking forward to this. If Path of Exile doesn't improve, you know, I'll find another game to play. But with with DotA being how it is right now, and now what's it called? Now with the Anthem announcements, it's just not looking good for the next couple of months. But that's going to be it for this stream. Tonight, I'm planning on streaming. I'll probably stream some Path of Exile, so feel free to keep an eye on Twitter to see it. I'll probably go live around 7, but I am Spectre, and I am out.